you said about Cheetah to your score, which to me feels like this summation of everything you and Fred know. It has all of the joy and all of the ferocity and all of the highs and the lows that we've come to expect from your work. And it's distilled into this one act, beautiful thing.
Thank you. The one act is because of our terrific director, John Doyle, who took this material, which we had been quite happy with before, and took another look at it and turned it into a one-act piece in which we keep the young Claire and the young Anton on stage the entire time. That's all John. And we didn't do a lot of rewriting. We did a lot of cutting, a lot of tweaking. Sometimes watching him work was fascinating to me, because I don't think I've ever seen anybody who spent so much time on little details, just a little moment, a little movement, or maybe cutting a line or cutting it down. It wasn't new stuff so much as, it's like Cheetah's art. It's the distilled essence of this piece. And Terrence and I are thrilled with what he did. And David was very much a part of that, and so I am eternally grateful, as he well knows. The piece began, I still can't remember when, but our first production of it was in Chicago in 9/11. And while we were in Chicago, buildings were blowing up here in New York. And it was a very strange feeling. And somehow or other, not being here and yet being aware of it, watching it on television, and knowing that we were going back to this city affected this piece, and I cannot tell you how. But there was this, I think, an awareness of the fact that life ends, and maybe what that means. I think all of us felt our mortality very, very strongly during that period. Anyway, Fred was sick then, but he wouldn't miss that experience for anything in the world. A couple of years later, Fred passed away, and the decision had to be made as to whether to continue, and I can't remember what made it happen, but we all decided to go ahead with it, and we did the version that Frank Galati had beautifully directed, and had worked on the piece in DC, and that was what year? 2004. Fred died in 2004, so he was not with us. It was very confusing to all of us, and then the decision to make it happen again, partly as a tribute, I think, to him, began with Tom Curtihy having a conversation with John Doyle, and the next thing you knew, we were up in Williamstown doing this version of the show. I don't mean to be boring about this, but it's been a long time coming.
Nothing more about it. I don't think people realize how long these things take. I have been writing Hamilton for 6 years.
You were writing Hamilton when we started having lunch.
That's right. I've been writing Hamilton as long as we have known each other.
I have to tell that story that I told yesterday. He used to, when we would have lunch, he would come with this, what I think of as a Santa Claus satchel with him, and it was all books about Hamilton. And several lunches later, he arrived without the satchel. And I said, where did Hamilton go? And he said, my mother brought me a Kindle. And so I got one too.
Turn them on to Kindles.
Without sounding too awfully condescending, you make me so proud. You really do. I'll get very emotional about this, and I'll try not to. But it seems to me you found a way to combine everything that's going on of the moment, in the moment, today, musically, with everything that went on in the past, and put it all together and turn it into your own language. And you really give me confidence that there will be musical theater in the future.
Compliments. You know, I joke about this, but it's actually true. You're my first composer friend I ever made. He came to In the Heights when we were just opened off Broadway, because he knew Andy Blankenbuehler, who did our choreography, when he was in the chorus of something, I'm sure. How did you meet Andy?
He was in the chorus of the workshop of Steel Pier.
Of Steel Pier. There are Puerto Ricans all over the stage! Ladies and gentlemen, John Doyle and Cedar Rivera. I want to tell a story while Cheetah's up here. So, Cheetah and I were together last Friday at the Drama League Awards. I don't know if I told you this, John. And Cheetah won Best Performance. And she's walking up the dais to the podium, and she's hugging everyone on the way. And I'm luckily on the path to the dais. I did not win. And she hugs me and goes, "Viva Puerto Rico!" I'm dead. I can die now. How was your show tonight?
It was fabulous. It was absolutely I'm so happy to be in this picture. This beautiful picture that John Doyle painted for us. We just come into it, live it. Every time we look around the stage, there's something magnificent to look at. And of course, out of the mouth comes that good stuff. So it's thrilling, and especially after 14 years, right, John? I mean, 14 years it took for us to do this, you know, and we're finally here. Beautiful conductor also.
Do you have notes for anybody? Do you have notes for anybody? I'll phone you tomorrow.
Well, we don't want to interrupt, so we're just going to back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the unkillable. Thank you, sir.
You have special guest stars on our program.
Yeah, we did. This has been the best French onion soup ever. I want to ask you another question now that I'm just floored by Cheetah's cameo appearance. Did you guys meet while you were a pianist at West Side Story?
Actually, no, she was a star and I was just playing piano.
That's his first gig.
I was just there as a sub, so I got to hang around great people, or look up at the stage back then anyway. I really loused up that score.
That's a really hard score.
Yeah, it's really hard.
But that led you to Gypsy, where you got to play in Gypsies as well.
Well, Yeah, what happened, I can tell this really quickly. It all started because I was at the opening of West Side Story in Philadelphia, and there was a party at Bellevue Stratford, and there were people 5 deep at the bar, and I'm a very unaggressive fellow, and I kept going like that. And I couldn't
Cellophane.
years before. And this little short man in front of me saw my distress and said, I'll get you a drink. What do you want? I'll get you a drink when I get mine. And he did, and he turned out to be the pianist for West Side Story. And we struck up a conversation and then a sort of friendship. And when it came time for him to go on his vacation, he asked me if I wanted to sub for him, and of course I said yes. And for a few weeks, I was there, and the weeks that I was there, they were auditioning lots of people, and so I had to play all those auditions and also rehearsals. And the stage manager was doing this as fast as I can. Ruthie Mitchell was the stage manager, and she was also going to be the stage manager for Gypsy. And so she said, we need somebody to play the auditions for Gypsy, so will you do it? And I said, sure. And so for about 6 weeks, I was playing the auditions for Gypsy, and Jerry Robbins was there, and he got so used to me that he said, literally, do you want to do this show with me? And I said, do you want me to? And I said, yes. He said, yes, and I said, yes. Then I went and got drunk. And then, so I got to do the dance music for that, which led me to, means I got a job to do the dance music for La Douce, and by then, because the theater community is really small.
And still really small.
And that's one of the glories of it, I think. It was possible to get a show produced. And so James and William Goldman and I wrote a musical called Family Affair, which failed. And then later, I met Fred Ebb, and we worked on a show called Florida Red Menace that Hal Prince had hired us to do. And the next day, that didn't work out very well either. He said, the next day after the show, whatever happens, we'll meet in my apartment. We'll talk about the next show, and that was something that turned out to be Cabaret. So the point of all that is, if I had had the guts to get my own drink in Philadelphia, I would never have had a career.
We are running short on time. This has been amazing. This has been the best French onion soup I've ever had. You give me hope that we get better, with every show, because this is my favorite of your shows, and I couldn't wait to get up here and talk to you about it. I have one more request before you go. My son has a yellow shoe. Would you sign it? I think Seb is good. You're all witnesses to this. Yeah, it's not much of a canvas. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for seeing the visit. Tell your friends coming back.